Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I got my co-host here, Michael. And we got a special guest here, J.O., right? Y'all been listening to some of his episodes, you know what I'm saying, about the phenom of basketball players' rise and fall. Um, in this episode, we're going to be talking about something that I wasn't familiar with, not too familiar with. I had heard about it, but I got a little insight the other night during a class that we took. When we were able to talk to some political science grad students, and they were talking about this thing called fourth grade failure syndrome. So we're going to be talking about that today in this episode, and hope that you can get something out of it, and everybody get a little insight, because this is something that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, especially in the black and brown community. But it's real, y'all. It's real. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What up, y'all? Before we get started, I want Michael, my co-host, and J.O. to introduce themselves real quick. Michael, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to come do a show with you, so I hope you enjoy this show. And this was something that I believe touched all of us,
Yeah,
especially a lot of us in prison.
yeah. Wasn't even aware of it. J.O.?
Hey, what's up, world? It's J.O. It's good to be here and doing another episode with Joe.
Appreciate y'all doing this too, right? But let me give a little background on what this thing is, right? I'm going to read some information that I was able to get off the internet about the fourth grade failure syndrome, right? The fourth grade failure syndrome is a term used to describe the decline in academic performance that many black boys experience between the third and fifth grades. This decline is often attributed to a number of factors, and we're going to be talking about those factors in a few minutes. But let me ask each one of y'all, the other night when we were in class, right, what was it about this particular topic that stuck out to you?
For me, it was something I never even realized.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you kept talking about underlying something that had happened
Right,
that got us to where we are,
right,
it never really dawned on me that this is what it was.
right.
Especially, you know, until they broke it down and said what the syndrome was. Like, well, you know what?
Yeah,
Happened to me in the fifth grade.
right. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. What about you, J.O.?
What stuck out to me was, and I didn't know until we had the class, was that growing up, you didn't have as many black teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about more through the episode, but that's what really stood out to me.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. I can remember, like, in certain grades that were coming up, we had black teachers, but it wasn't that many.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that many. And the majority of the black students were not in the classes with the black teachers. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the classes were full. And now that I think about it, I remember, you know, sometime I might be walking down the hallway going to use the restroom or something like that, and the class will be full of black students. You might see one or two white students in that class, but those classes with the black teachers would be full of the black students. But it was so many of us that we all couldn't get into class. You feel what I'm saying?
And I don't think I had a black teacher down here in Tennessee until seventh grade, and it was a shop teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I didn't have a black teacher down here,
Yeah.
but in Michigan I did. But here, I don't remember seeing a black teacher until, like I said, seventh grade. Middle school was it.
Yeah, I don't remember having a black teacher in like the kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I think it was about the sixth or seventh grade
Yeah.
that I started to see, or that I can remember anyway right now, having a black teacher. I can remember Miss Rice. I forget the math teacher name, but she was tough. Forget her name, right? But other than those two, when we were in elementary school, I just don't. It may have been, but I just don't remember.
And I think my first black real teacher down here, there was an actual, like the basic teacher was my junior English teacher.
Right.
So other than that, I don't remember any basic. Like I said, we had shop and mechanic class like that. We had black teachers, but not in the basics.
Why did you? Before we get to some of these factors, right, that contribute to that, why do each of you think? Do you think that's important that black and brown students have black teachers? Because I know we got good white teachers out there. You know what I'm saying? So, do you think what's the importance of it? What are they trying to say with this issue of, black and brown?
Go ahead, Joe.
I think it's important because it's like that's your black and brown kids. That's who you're around. When you go home, you're around your mother, your dad. They black and brown, and then when you get to school, it's also, I would say, comforting to be around a black teacher. Because I can remember. Now, the only reason why I remember a third grade teacher, Miss Cromwell, she was black, and I remember her because she had a favorite slogan was like, "I light you up like a Christmas tree." Like she kind of put the discipline for us in school, even though we getting it at home sometimes. She made it where it's like we see her as a black mother, because your mom might say, she might not say light you up like a Christmas tree, but she might say, I might throw a phone book at you.
Yeah, but here's the question I have for you on that, Ryan. Did you not your white teachers? Did they ever say anything like that to you, to the point to where you respected it? Because I'm assuming that you respected what this black teacher said to you because your mother is black, right? So how did that make you see white teachers? You feel what I'm saying? Versus the black teacher. Did that have any effect on the way you saw white teachers versus the black teacher?
Well, first of all, I know the white teachers, they wouldn't say nothing like that. I haven't really thought about why it was comforting for the black teacher to say that. I mean, even though she said that she made sure we done our homework, she may ask how everything going, with yourself and stuff like that. And white teachers wasn't too concerned of that. They were just there for the check.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know in class, and I don't want anybody that's listening to take this the wrong way, because this is not about trying to make any teacher look bad or anything like that, right? But another thing that stood out to me in the class was we learned that a lot of the white teachers that are just coming into the profession, they have this fear of these young black boys particularly, right? And if you coming into the profession and you are afraid, because of all the stereotypes, because of all the things that you've experienced in your life, if you are afraid of these young black boys, how is it that you're going to be able to connect with them to teach them? You know what I'm saying?
And for me, like, would you say that? I say that I don't know that it's necessarily have to be a black teacher for me.
Okay.
I think it's the quality of the teaching. Black teachers that are teaching black children are teaching them because they want them to succeed and they want them to better themselves. But whereas the white teachers probably aren't focused on this. Not saying that, all white teachers are like this, because we got to say Dr. King, Dr. Anton, West,
that's great.
all
Absolutely.
excellent professors, but we have those.
But let me say this about Dr. King and Dr. West and Dr. Steve and all of those individuals. We know that they care, and it had to take some amount of education on their parts, right, to get to that point to where they can recognize and see that this is worthwhile. They genuinely care. When they talk to us, you can tell they're looking us in the eyes and they have a concern about our success, our well-being. And I don't know if they were raised like that or if they just learned
But
that
shouldn't
it's
it be
important. Go ahead.
But shouldn't it be teachers? Period. I mean, that's a profession you should not get into unless you have a passion to see somebody succeed, no matter what, white, black, brown, or anything.
Absolutely. I agree with that. You should have that passion to want to see all of your students succeed. What I'm saying is, can you do that if you have this built-in fear of some of your students based on their race?
Yeah.
But that's not to say that can't be unlearned, because that's a learned behavior.
It is.
Right. Okay. So that's not to say it can't be unlearned. But if you wait till you get to college, and you go into this profession, and nobody's trying to teach you that, look, you might have this bias about yourself towards black and brown students that we might need to address. If nobody's teaching you that, I'm sure that these white teachers say, I care about all my students.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the way you care about it is going to distinguish between, how you approach them. Let's say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that they may not even be aware that can interfere with their interactions with that child. They may not even be aware of that. Now, if they are aware of it, they just file.
Well, I'll tell you.
But,
I start
you know
off.
what I'm saying?
I start off with my 5th grade experience that we talked about in the class. That I said that we were assigned to read an article in the newspaper, and to write a report on this article that we read in the newspaper. So in my household, there was only business. So I read a business article. 5th grade now, read a business article and wrote a report on the business article. Turned it in. The teacher gave me an F. She said, there's no way in the world that I could have done that by myself. Instead of saying, did you do this?
Right.
How did you know to read this and report on this? You might have had a prodigy on you. You never know. And if I had got that encouragement from her, I might have turned out different.
Right.
But when she did that, I turned off. And I didn't want to do any, from that point on, from 5th grade, I didn't want to do any more work.
And see, that's what amazes me about that. When at that young age, experiencing that trauma, you turned off. But you didn't even know what that was. You didn't know, it didn't have a name to you. You just knew the what it felt like.
Yeah.
And it turned you off. You feel what I'm saying? And after that, you're learning everything through that lens of trauma going forward. You feel what I'm saying? Even though you were surrounded by, because the majority of people in your family, they're educated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody doing great things. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that you won't or you aren't now. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that skewed the way you saw the world. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why, you know what I mean? Yeah. And because other than your parents, when you're young like that, the teachers are around you more than anybody else.
Yes.
So it would behoove them to be, to care, really care, not professionally care. You know how the difference from what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're taught to treat all of them like this and treat all your students this way. That's professional care. I'm talking about that emotional attachment that you have to your kids that's beyond when you're on TV giving an interview. You feel what I'm saying? And I see teachers on TV all the time, and they say that they care, and I believe that. I believe white, brown, whatever. You feel what I'm saying? I believe that. It's just that it still amazes me to hear stories. I know with my nephew, when he was in those grades that we're talking about, I can remember calling home and talking to him, and he would tell me stories about how the white teacher was doing this to him and doing that to him as far as his discipline. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes he might talk a little bit too much in class. She cracks the whip on him. She sends him to detention and all of these things, and consider putting him in alternative classes. You feel what I'm saying? Just really finna take him all the way off the course to being able to succeed. And my sister, she got in the middle of that, and she was like, you're not going to treat him like that. You feel what I'm saying? And ended up having to take him out of that school and get him in a private school. But at the end of the day, it's like, until I heard that the other night in class, I had no idea what this was.
No, not at all.
I had no idea what this was.
And I went through it from 5th grade on. That's what I went through.
Yeah.
8th grade year, I didn't pass. I passed one class, one semester, one class. The rest of it I failed. Don't you know when we got the end of the year report card that says promoted to the 9th grade?
Yeah, move you right along.
So I get to the 9th grade, they put me in the what are the classes? Remedial classes. They put me in the remedial classes.
Yeah.
So I'm in the remedial class, but I'm killing it in the remedial class because I'm not supposed to be
You
here.
don't belong in that.
This sorry teacher went to the basketball coach and told the coach that I was going to fail her class. Got me cut off the team. I got my report card, took it straight to him. So you see this? Made a 91 in her class.
Right.
91.
Wow.
And she said I was going to fail. That wasn't even near failing.
Okay, that brings up a good point. Let me talk about some of those factors that contribute to that, right? And one is, they say, cultural mismatch. And that is traditional classroom setting, which emphasize individual competition and quiet behavior, may not be a good fit for some black boys who tend to learn better in more cooperative and active learning environments. You know, this idea that, you know, we get in class and we're all sitting there straight up in the chairs. Not to say that you don't need it, because you need to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that you should have zero tolerance policies for somebody that steps outside of that. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This textbook way, this is how it needs to be, and if they don't conform to this, they're not supposed to be allowed to proceed. Put them in an alternative class like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what they did to you, or like what they try to do to my nephew. Have you ever had any experiences like that where you would be in class and you might be talking or doing something or whatever, and they went overboard in disciplining you, J.O.?
I would say academically, mine is more like it lasts for a while. Just because I played basketball,
Right.
I got just grades given to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I get to the higher grade, I don't even really know what's going on. Pretty much, you know, I can't comprehend what's going on. I don't really understand what's going on, you know. And only class I knew what was going on was math, because for some reason it goes back to that black teacher. She made sure in class she indebted that, and you know, she took time for every black person one-on-one for this math. Here you go, you know, so on and so forth. And but like on Mr. Coleman's situation in fifth grade, when he said the teacher that he didn't do it.
Right.
You know, not only it's about who's saying it. Look who's saying it to you.
Yeah.
It's a white teacher saying it to you. Then as you go on years and years, all you see is white teachers. So by that person saying that, putting that psychological thinking that you didn't do it, you might be looking at the next teacher like, is this teacher gonna do it?
Right.
Is this even if
it'll have that effect on you where now you're looking at white teachers, you don't trust any of them.
You don't,
And it's some that you should trust.
Yeah.
But you won't do it.
Yeah, because I gotta say, like, economics. I took economics sophomore year, and it was a black teacher. Failed her class miserably. So the next year, first semester, I took a class from one of the coaches, Coach Carter. Shout out to him. He's a great teacher.
Right.
Passed it with flying colors because it was an interactive class. You know, the class was, we had to sell pencils. I'll never forget that. We had to do a little computer simulation, sell pencils. First, the one that sold the most got an A, and then so forth and so forth.
Right.
So I passed that because of the interaction in that class. It was a good interactive class. It was white man too, Coach Carter.
Absolutely.
So you know, it was a great class.
Right.
And teachers should be finding out if that works for these students.
Right. Let me read another one of these factors. Right. They say low expectations. Teachers and administrators may have lower expectations for black boys, which can lead to self-fulfilling prophecies. Then disciplinary disparities. Black boys are more likely to be suspended or expelled from school than white boys, which can disrupt their education and lead to further academic problems. And the last one that they have on here is negative peer pressure. Black boys may be more likely to be influenced by negative peer pressure, such as gang activity or drug use, which can lead to absenteeism and dropping out of school. Now, all of those factors, at one time or another, I can relate to that, right? because I had some teachers. I know I was smart. I've always been smart, but I'm gonna just keep it real. Sometimes I get lazy.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking for the easy way out here. That's probably what contributed to me ended up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Truth be told. But I can remember, like the black teachers that I encountered, they wouldn't let me be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Get your butt over here. This, and that. And make me do this and make me do that. But the white teachers, and I don't know if it was because the white teachers were afraid of me. I don't know why they would have been. I was 4'8". You know what I'm saying? All the way up to the 9th grade. I was not threatening. You know what I'm saying? But
The dark skin was, though.
absolutely, yeah. But they would just tell me to get over here to the side. Don't worry about it. Or I could put my head down on the desk, no problem. Or if I turned in a paper and I made a C, good job.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that
You could do better.
This is it wasn't like it. But in the black classes, what you think you got going on? You know what I'm saying? Did you even read the paper? You know,
Yeah.
I got a C plus, but that ain't good enough for them. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
You didn't do nothing. You didn't even do your homework. Yes, I did. I'm looking at it like, well, I didn't fail. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
They always pushed. You know what I'm saying? And didn't have that. But I didn't even realize that I was being shortchanged.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you don't realize that you're being shortchanged, how do you know to do anything about it? And why should that much pressure be on the child anyway?
And I had the discussion with my sister some years ago about the self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, we call children at risk. Mm-hmm. Maybe at risk because they're in a single-parent home or whatever it is, they're at risk. Mm-hmm. If a child hears that, like I did, I heard that down here growing up, that I was at risk. I was at risk. I was at risk. Okay. It came true because that's what I felt. I felt this because you said that I'm at risk.
You told me that.
Yeah, and I don't agree with letting a child hear. If that's the terminology you're going to use, it's not the terminology for a child to hear. Mm-hmm. Even a person in high school, it's not a terminology for somebody to hear that you're at risk. Because I'm thinking, well, I'm just a throwaway. I'm just really here to play sports. Really,
right.
I'm not here to learn anything.
Right.
I'm just here to play
like
sports.
J.O. He's good. He's that good, so they just kept pushing him along.
Most
I'm
definitely.
concerned about his academic.
No, just get out here on this court. You know,
play ball. Yeah, kind of like what Trump told LeBron: just shut up and dribble. You know what I mean? But it's plenty of examples like that, right? But while we're talking, what's running through my mind is that this episode is for parents. Yes. This episode is for parents. Those of all races, in my opinion. Particularly black and brown. You need to be paying attention to what's going on with your kids at those particular ages. You know what I'm saying? In those grades and the type of teachers that they have. Mm-hmm. If you're not involved, you're really leaving the future of your child to them.
Yeah.
Real talk. Now, I know parents are busy. They got to go to work. They got to do all the other things to provide for the child. But that child is going to be around those teachers, if not more, than the parents. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to be involved. Okay. You have to really, and pay attention. Let me ask you this, looking back, both of you, looking back, what were some signs, what were some things that happened, like a change in your behavior that parents today could look for in their children and maybe see if they are experiencing what you experience? What happened to you when that teacher told you that you couldn't have written that paper and all of that? What behavior changes took place?
First, it was, of course, my grades. And then, I don't know if it had to be a combination of that and the peer pressure part, you know, mm-hmm. as far as fitting in with my own race, you know, because as I said, that because the negative peer pressure is what drove me really to get to where I was. You know, I started, I don't know, my mom really couldn't see the stuff. I hid it. You know, I hid it.
That's what I'm asking you. What did you hide from her? What was going on?
The type of people that I was with. Mm-hmm. I might say, Mom, I'm going down the street to play ball or something. Or,
you were lying.
Yeah, and I'm going somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I would say the focus should be on the grades, academia, because if you see those grades start slipping, especially if your child was doing well or average or anything and fell, whatever they fell to, it's a reason. There's a reason behind this. Let me get to this reason. Because had my mom, like you said, she was busy. Mom worked hard to keep us out of the hood. Mom worked hard for us to be in middle class.
Right.
So she didn't. I don't think she thought to ask.
She trusted that you were telling her, if you would tell her something was
Yes.
going on. That's
Yes.
not that she wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
if there would have been some kind of way that she could have picked up, that's why I say this is for parents. I'm trying to speak to those parents that may have children at the ages we were that, might not be aware of what's going on. What can they be looking for? What signs can they be looking for? You know what I'm saying? That would help them say, okay, come here, let me talk to you. Is something going on?
There it is, right there. That's the sign. Maybe, cause like, I hit it.
Okay,
you know
hit it.
I can hide it. You know, and your mom may ask where you going. Look, mom, I'm going around. Down to my friend's house, but I'm doing something else.
But it really wasn't true.
But she got so much going on in her mind. She ain't taking the time out and just be like, hold up, let me back up. What y'all, who you going? What you say you finna do?
So you saying it should be more...
I ain't saying that it's the... It ain't...
Ask more questions.
Ask more questions. It can't be the parents' fault. You know
No, it's not about their
It
fault. What we want to do with this episode is give them a little insight so they can focus on what might be going on. Whereas when we were coming up, again, like I say, our parents was working, the grandparents, whoever was raising us, they were working, they were busy, and we hid it well, right?
Yeah.
What we want to do is to say to the parents that are listening, okay, look for this.
I think
Pay attention to that behavior. You know what I'm saying?
I think the one thing was me and my mom and my sister were sitting in the kitchen, and my sister said something about please. She said please something, and the people I was hanging around with at the time was nigga please.
Yeah.
And it came out of my mouth just that quick.
Yeah.
Mom didn't think anything about it. She just swung. I ducked. I ducked.
Oh, man.
So that's if she'd have thought of it or even knew to think of that.
Where'd they come from?
Where'd they come from? That change in my vocabulary was a good sign.
That's important.
Change in vocabulary.
That's crazy you said that, because when I was at home, my dad used the bathroom, and it stunk. And I said, "Dang, nigga, you stink."
Yeah.
And he thought was like, "Hey, boy, I ain't your nigga. I'm your daddy."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But he kind of but he was on the move, but it just caught him then.
So he didn't really question.
He didn't really
Where you
question
get
like,
that from?
Where is that?
Yeah.
Where that come from to be calling me this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Then my mom, then I see where my mom, it was like, she may have to tell me stuff more than a few times.
Yeah.
To do it. I'm always hard headed.
Yeah.
But it was just like the same stuff too many times. And you know how your mom be like, "Man, I don't know how many times I gotta tell you this. I done told you this too many times." I feel like that's a sign.
So what you're saying, what both of y'all are saying is pay close attention to the changes in behavior, vocabulary, and the people that you're hanging around. Those three things.
Most definitely, because man, that's where it fell apart at.
Yeah. And if you pay attention to those things, you might be able to head that off.
You got a chance.
Yeah. But also go back to, where did this start? If it's connected to the school, if it's connected to the teachers, then it's going to manifest and act out in the neighborhood, in the friends that you're around, and all of those types of things. Because that's what I'm hearing.
See, I got a question for the medical professionals, or the not medical, but the psychologists. Because my mom always used to tell us that by 5 years old, you're shaped to be who you're going to be.
Okay.
So, was who I was going to be who I am today? Was I shaped at 5 years old? Was it something in me that made me want to lash out, or that I wanted attention, or what? I mean, that's what I'd like to know. That's what I'd like to know. What it was. That's a good
question. If anybody out there is listening and can answer that question, hit me up in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what's going on with it. I mean, that's a good question. I just don't know But what I would say is that things happen when you're growing up. Life happens in whatever environment that you grow up in, right? But I have come to believe in my old age that you still have a choice.
You do, yeah.
You still have a choice.
You do.
All of these things that we're talking about could happen to anybody.
Yeah. And
with just a little help, because it's something that Dr. Sandra said in the class to me. When I said, I wish that I would have been able, because she asked me, what do you think you could have done? I said, I wish that at 7, at that age, I wish that as a little child I could have said to my grandparents, I need some help.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I didn't even know that I needed it. You feel what I'm saying? And she said that it's too much pressure for a child to bear.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So remember that out there, those of you that are listening, your child can be going through something. They just can't articulate like an adult that they need help. So that's why you got to pay close attention to the behaviors that they exhibit. That's how they are telling you. They're acting out because they can't speak it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you got to play close. And don't get me wrong. I know it's hard out there. You got to work. You got to do all of these things. But look here. The most important asset, if you want to look at it that way, the most important asset in your life are your children. They're more precious than the money that you're making at the job. They're more precious than the car that you might want to buy to drive or the house that you want to live in one day. Pay attention to them, because you can have all of those things. And if your kids are not healthy mentally, spiritually, and physically, then you have nothing. Yeah. You have nothing. Now, look, is there anything else y'all want to say before we wrap this up? Because I really dig this, but we got to go.
That's lovely.
Dig it.
Enough said.
Enough said. Look here, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with y'all. I want to thank J.O. and my co-host Michael for doing this again. Peace, y'all.